Shout out to the First Friday Shorts. First Friday Shorts that's happening this Friday night because a friend who's been gone for several months is going to be back in town, and it's her welcome. If those of you who know Adela. So, yeah, I'm very excited. She's coming back. So tonight we have a very special show. Not like a very special episode of Blossom special, but it's special to me because tonight is my second Fist-iversary. Thank you. 2 years ago, in August 2013, that I told my first Fist story for the Shameless show. And it wasn't on this stage, it was on the stage at Beowulf Valley, which did not serve liquor. And when I told my first story, I read it off of paper, which was shaking because I was so nervous. We've come a long way, baby. So Beowulf Valley is no more. It is now Johnny Gibson's Downtown Market, and that is just sort of astounding to me that in 2 years that space transformed from a theater to a grocery store. And when I'm just thinking about what an amazing transformation that is, I think, wait a minute, I've changed a lot in 2 years as well. 2 years ago, I was still a grad student. I was doing my second hitch, getting another English degree. And now I have my MFA in creative writing. 2 years ago, I had no literary publications. Today, I have 3. And 2 years ago, even though I was in a pretty highly regarded Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing program, I didn't know if I belonged on the Fist stage. I was worried that I was too highfalutin, too academic, too verbose. And I was. But the Fisters welcomed me into the Fisterhood anyways, and they helped me kind of tame my brainiac when it didn't serve the story, and I became a better storyteller for it. We've come a long way, baby. Okay, put that down for a second. Focus on my story. So, Beowulf Valley, Johnny Gibson's Downtown Market, huge transformation, but I've transformed too. 2 years ago, I was so nervous on this stage that I was shaking, my knees were knocking. And now, this is my 11th story with Fist. And I am the chair of the storytelling committee, and nothing that I have ever done in my life has made me happier or prouder, except maybe seeing my son become an Eagle Scout, which was pretty awesome, and which I told a story about at Fist. And when I told that story a year and a half ago, I wondered whether and how long it would take for the Boy Scouts of America, the national organization, to lift the ban on gay leadership. I think we can say we've come a long way, baby. Yeah. So I love storytelling, and tonight is a very special show to me as well because of the theme, The Show Must Go On. I have been involved with live performance and theater for as long as I can remember. I have a distinct memory of being in kindergarten at graduation. And my whole class got up on the stage on these risers, and we were singing a song, and I was one of the shortest kids, so I was down front. And there was a part of the song where we talked about stirring it up. There was a song about rainbows, and we were stirring up the rainbows. I don't know why. But this was the motion. Look what happens when you stir it up, that you were supposed to do when we were singing the song. But I was really committed to my role, and I wanted people to know that I was indeed stirring a pot, though no pot was there. So when we got to that part of the song, look what happens when you stir it up, and my laconical classmates were like, I was look what happens! And everybody noticed me. And that was my first taste of the limelight, and so I knew I couldn't turn back. I was in plays all throughout elementary school, junior high, high school, and I was raised Catholic. But all that participation in the theater ingrained just as much as my religious upbringing, the commandment in me, the show must go on. I absolutely believe that, heart and soul. And then when I was in college and kind of got away from the church, live performance, theater, and art generally became kind of the thing that filled that void for me. It's an opportunity for communities to come together and listen to stories about what it means to be human. And that's a very important thing to me, but when I got to college, I discovered that I was not the hot shit actor that I thought I was. And that was no good for me, so I had a talent for writing, and I thought, oh, I will be a poet. And then I found out I wasn't that hot shit of a poet. I was 20, but since it didn't come naturally, I didn't want to do it. So I tried becoming an academic. It didn't really work out, but all throughout my 20s and early 30s, I thought, well, if I can't be the best, I don't want to do it. But I started to have this void in my life, this sense of purposelessness, restlessness, and I didn't know what I was going to do about it. So one day, in a fit of desperation, I tried out for musical theater. And I didn't get in, but I started taking dance classes. And I did not take dance lessons as a child. I'm very rhythmically challenged. And I don't know how to read music, so it was kind of absurd that I would think I should do musical theater. But I saw a classified ad in the paper saying there were auditions for Gypsy. I thought, well, what have I got to lose? And 3 auditions later, I finally was cast in a show. It was Singing in the Rain. And it was such hard work. It is hard work being that terrible. I embarrassed myself constantly. I was always getting yelled at because I could not get the choreography. I cannot count to 8. Or move and sing at the same time. Very complicated stuff. My brain's not trained that way. And I would embarrass myself an awful lot. And after rehearsals, I would be riding my bike home in the dark late at night, just tears and snot, and I embarrassed myself again. And I wanted to quit a lot. But I didn't, because the show must go on. So I kept going to the rehearsals, as awful as they were, and as terrible as I was, and finally we got to opening night. And during the finale, the whole ensemble cast is on the stage, dancing in our rain slickers with our umbrellas, and I didn't fuck up. So I was thrilled, and as I was standing there under the lights and we got a standing ovation, I thought about all those tear-filled, snot-ridden butt cries home, and I thought, worth it. And that was really the moment that sealed for me, oh, if you want to do something that you're proud of, you have to work at it. And that's when the ethos of my 20s of I can't do this unless I'm the best, I just realized how dumb that was. And that I could be an artist if I just tried and did the work. So I stopped watching quite so much television and started taking a creative nonfiction, creative writing workshop with a friend. And I set myself a goal to write a memoir, and I did that. In the process, I started applying for MFA programs and got accepted to one, and so I decided I was just going to quit my job and move to Tucson and be an artist, and that's what I did. And it wasn't long after that that I discovered Fist, and I went, huh, I want to be in that gang, because this is a team of women that has brought together my 2 great passions in life of live performance and creative nonfiction, and I have to be a part of that. And I'm so glad that I became a part of it 2 years ago. This has been, like I said, the thing that makes me happiest and proudest out of anything that I've ever done. And I know that I had a point to this story, if I can just remember what it was. It had something to do with
The show must go on.
The show must go on, and if I sound like an infomercial right now about, come on now, the power of storytelling can change your life, ask me how. That would be because you are goddamn right. I believe that the power of storytelling changes lives. And not just for individuals, although I think anyone who's ever told a story on this stage will say to you that it is kind of a life-changing experience, but also for our community, because a big part of this show is you, the audience, who's taking the time out of your busy lives, instead of just consuming mass media, to actually participate in a community setting of listening to stories about what it means to be human. I think we're doing something kind of radical here because the cultural gatekeepers who decide the kinds of stories that we get to hear, they're not really doing, I think, our country a service, because what I see is political discourse that's at an absolute stalemate because people can't listen to each other. And people aren't practicing listening when it makes them uncomfortable or listening when it challenges your beliefs. It's an art form. It takes practice. It takes work. And sometimes you kind of suck at it at first. But just like art, that's not a reason to stop. You've got to keep going. I do have one more joke that I skipped over. I'm going to tell that right now. Although telling you that it's a joke might kind of ruin it. What I was going to say is that all this stuff I've been saying up here about how art is hard work, and the artists who succeed aren't necessarily the most talented ones, but they're the ones who are willing to do that work, even when it sucks to keep going. If that sounds familiar to you as a thesis, that's because I'm paraphrasing Ira Glass. And if you know that, you're a nerd. Hey, it worked. Awesome. Anyway, I'm so glad that you are here tonight. Thank you so much for being here, for practicing the art of listening. Thank you, Flycatcher, for giving us this venue, these lights, this microphone, this space for all these wonderful people to come together. Thank you to our ASL interpreters for making us so more accessible. And thank you to the Fisters, past, present, and future, for making every show a very special show.